Hi, welcome to Essential IT and Security Skills. I'm Charles Redmond, Master Trader, here to guide you through the essentials that you are going to need to land the job that you are looking for. In this series, we're going to talk about essential PC skills. I'm going to walk you through everything from software to hardware. Most people know me as a cybersecurity expert. Well, I couldn't have gotten there without learning the basics first. That's what this series is going to do. And then we'll move on in some later series with some more advanced concepts and techniques. But remember, it all starts with the basics. It starts right here, the essential PC skills. Next, we have FAT32. FAT32 supports partitions up to 2 terabytes. It uses 32 bits versus the old 64 and allows for use of small clusters. Next, NTFS. This is the choice most often used in today's Windows operating system. With the introduction of NTFS, there were 6 major improvements and refinements: redundancy, security, compression, encryption, disk quotas, and cluster sizing. The NTFS structure provides for overall redundancy. It uses the enhanced file allocation table called the master file table. What it does is it keeps a backup copy of data in the middle of the disk to prevent from loss of data or corruption. Also with NTFS, you get enhanced security. It provides file and folder level access controls, and it uses what is identified as user access control lists, or ACLs, to restrict or grant access to that data. Here's a look at what the NTFS master file table appears like in the defragmenter program. Next, you have compression. Compression enables files and folders to be compressed to save overall space on your hard drive. And the encrypting file system, or EFS. Now the user can encrypt their data to protect from prying eyes. Both files and folders can be encrypted or compressed. Another improvement with NTFS is disk quotas and cluster sizes. With disk quotas, you can control how users use space. And with cluster sizing, you can adjust the cluster sizes. NTFS supports up to 16 terabytes minus a little 64 kilobyte partition. And next, FAT64. Most of today's modern thumb drives, for instance, are considerably larger, so the file system becomes an issue. Since FAT32 doesn't work on drives larger than 2 terabytes and limits file sizes to 4 gigabytes, exFAT, or FAT64, breaks the 4 gigabyte file size barrier. Theoretically, the partition limit is 64 zettabytes. The exFAT file system extends FAT32 from 32-bit cluster entries to 64-bit cluster entries. This makes for more efficient storage. Now, with exFAT or FAT64, you don't get the same features as NTFS like encryption and compression. So if that's important to you or your customers, you might want to keep that in mind. Windows makes formatting these drives extremely simple. Just find the drive, right-click, and select Format. You should see a screen like this. Next, let's take a look at Bootable Media. Any removable media that has a bootable operating system installed, like a floppy or a thumb drive, can be used. All Windows and Linux installation CDs, for instance, are bootable. However, the partitioning and formatting tools differ greatly between Windows XP and today's Windows 7. Windows XP has a text-based installation tool, where Windows 7 and Windows Vista moved to a graphical interface. First, we'll take a look at partitioning during a Windows XP installation. You'll have one primary partition, that's usually the large C drive, and you're going to walk through text mode and select the different options. So first, grab your installation disk and put it in your system. You'll see a screen that says Welcome to Setup. Select the appropriate option. Next, you'll have to select your partition. It will automatically identify how much disk space you have available for your installation. Next, select your partitioning size. Again, this will be limited based on the hard drive space that you have available. Now you see your newly created partitioning along with the rest of your unpartitioned space. And then we move on to the Format screen. This will format your new installation in whichever file system you choose is best, whether it be NTFS, FAT32, or FAT64. You'll also have the option to delete a partition. Next, let's look at these same steps, only this time we'll take a look at it in Windows Vista and Windows 7. Keep in mind, if you want to do any custom partitioning or delete existing partitions, all you have to do is click on Drive Options, it's under the Advanced tabs, and then go to Where do you want Windows to install? Another important note is Windows Vista and Windows 7 can read FAT and FAT32 drives, but they won't install a FAT partition by itself. So first, we grab our Windows 7 installation disk and put it in the machine. You'll be welcomed by the graphical interface where you will choose your basic startup. Next, you'll be asked, where do you want to install Windows? Again, it will recognize the available hard drive space that you have on your PC. You can also go into the disk management. This will show the default partitions as well as any other partitions that are already installed on your PC. And here we see our spanking brand new 499 gigabyte partition with a 100 meg system reservation. Now let's say you want to adjust your partition size and you're not installing a new operating system. You can do this through the disk management. It's the primary tool for partitioning and formatting drives after installation. It can be accessed directly via the MMC snap-in. Just type in disk mgmt.mcs. And you should see a screen like this. It looks familiar, kind of like what we saw during the installation. From here, we can see what's called disk initialization. It includes special information placed on a hard drive that identifies the hard drive and membership in different types of arrays. To initiate a disk, right-click the icon and select Initialize. Here's a look at what a partition will look like in the disk management console if that partition has not been initialized. It'll be identified as simply unknown. Also within disk management, you can view the status of a drive, whether it's healthy, how much unallocated space it has, whether it's active or a foreign drive, as well as whether it's online and working normally or offline due to some sort of corruption. From here, you can create additional partitions. Simply right-click on the unallocated part of a drive and select New Partition in XP or New Simple Volume in Windows Vista or Windows 7. Then Disk Management runs the new Partition Wizard or the new Simple Volume Wizard. Here's a look at the new Partition Wizard in Windows XP. Now, because Windows Vista and Windows 7 don't give you the option to specify whether you want primary or extended partitions, you'll go straight to the sizing screen. From there, you'll specify partition or volume size and click Next. Here's a look at what it looks like. Keep in mind, all of these are megabyte size, not gigabyte size. So note that Windows Vista and Windows 7 do not enable you to specify whether you want a primary or extended partition when you create a volume. The first 3 volumes you create, by default, will be primary partitions. Every volume after that become a logical drive in an extended partition. Now you need to assign your new partition a drive letter. And in the last screen, it's going to ask you what type of format type. If the partition is less than 4 gigs, you can choose FAT, FAT32, or NTFS. If the partition is 4 gigs to 32, you can choose FAT32 or NTFS. And if your partition is larger than 32 gigabytes, you can choose only NTFS. You'll also have the option to turn on disk compression. There you have it. It's pretty simple. Remember, everything starts with the basics. Once you have these understood, everything gets a whole lot easier. If you have any questions or even just a comment, feel free to leave them below, and I do read each and every one of them. I'll see you next time.